It's a brand new day, hey. Wake up every morning and say, it's a brand new day, hey. Take a good day, make it great, okay. Cause if you got some lemons, make some lemonade, yeah. Taste those.
Alright, welcome back to Women of Abundant Wealth, when we inspire women to be healthy, wealthy, and whole. Or everyone, however you want to say it. And we are in part 2 with Miss Jaime. And so the conversation was just so good that we had to continue going with this conversation. And I was so excited to have you come on because one of my passions is to help people who are struggling with addictions. And like alcohol and alcohol, food, drugs. I kind of feel like, you know, they're all addictions to something, and it's hard for people to break. And we don't look at certain things as being an addiction. But it's kind of near and dear to my heart because I do, and that's like a lot of the questions I have. I probably have like a million questions. We could probably do 10 shows. But I was so excited to have you on and I'm so glad you're excited to be here. And you have so much enlightenment. I told you was going to give us a lot of gems. I told you that before we started, and you have.
Oh, I'm so glad.
Put a little tick But you have a question, right?
Oh, I do, Jaime. Let me put my glasses on because y'all know I have to have these reading glasses.
Now.
All right.
Magnify them things. Come on.
So my question is, how does it make you feel knowing that God chose you to be the beacon of hope and the light in the darkness for people who are suffering with this alcoholism disease?
Wow, that's a powerful question. Powerful question. And I can say, you know, humbled beyond measure. Humbled beyond measure. The fact that I can look at all of my pain, all of my brokenness, all of my, you know, laying in a hospital bed by myself, you know, with them saying, you're gonna die, and thinking, do I even have any worth? Because you start to think, well, am I even worth it? I failed at trying to stop 3 times. So what is my purpose? You know, and it was in that quiet time that God whispered, you know, those 4 babies of yours, and you're going to be a beacon of hope. You're gonna stop hiding in your shame, and you're gonna tell your story. And I thought, I'm gonna go tell people that I'm a train wreck.
Right, yeah.
I mean, you know, and back to that whole perfect outer shell. You want people to think that you're perfect.
And it's harder because you're in that space at that time, right? Thinking about it,
Yeah, I mean, I certainly wasn't posting any pictures of me in that hospital bed on Facebook.
Right, yeah.
You know, certainly wasn't doing that.
And do you think that's part of you trying to put a what is it? Perfect picture? Line picture perfect.
Absolutely.
You say picture perfect 10 times in a row?
I love it.
It's like a tongue twister.
Right. Yeah, that's absolute. And that's part of the selfishness as well. Because if in my pain, my brokenness, my disastrous life, if I can bring glory to God's name and help his children, because there's so many struggling. And, you know, people will say, you're an alcoholic? Yeah, I am.
Look, and they'll say, you don't look like you're an alcoholic.
Yeah, exactly.
What does an alcoholic look like?
What you say stuff like that? It's like, what do I mean, everyone looks different. How do you expect them to be looking all just shriveled up, crawling on TV?
Right.
Like, sorry that I'm beautiful.
Right.
I'm like, oh, thank you. I was like,
Oh, mercy, that's hysterical. But in my darkest days, I wasn't looking beautiful. You know, that disease will take a hold of you. It will grab you. And, you know, I just got to the point where I was like, I don't even know if Jaime Lynn's in there any longer. You know?
And you said you lost a lot of weight.
Oh, my heavens. Yeah, it was like I couldn't eat. I didn't want to eat. Was living off of wine.
The wine, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, unhealthy. But the thing about alcoholism is it's a disease of the body and the mind. And it's like that mind is just like, go ahead, take the drink. And then everything.
you really have to be mentally strong. So what's really strong to just keep up the sobriety?
God alone. I finally had to truly hand the reins over to God And it's either he is all or he is nothing. There's no in between, Jamie Lynn. You don't get to decide that you're going to do this, but you kind of want it to go this way as well, you know? No. I mean, I had to give it over completely to him. And, you know, people say one day at a time.
Right.
And it
That's
really is one
Was
day
there a
at a
point
time.
where you felt like you were going to die?
Absolutely. And that's really a hard thing, to have the doctors look at you in the face and tell you, you know. And I had mentioned, you know, about my family, and, you know, my dad never gave up on me. That man never gave up on me. And by the grace of God, I will forever. I'm
so
here.
You guys still have a good relationship?
Oh, my heavens,
That's
yes.
good.
Thank God for him. Yeah, thank God for him. And, you know, bless his heart, he was frustrated. He didn't know what to do with me. But he's like, I'm not going to give up on you. But, you know.
But
and
you need that family support.
I needed, you know, had I not had him and the kids at that time in my life, you know, fighting for me. And then it was after I got my ducks in a row, that life was just like, oh my gosh, you know, I finally got into the most loving relationship ever. And I'm a healthy person, like started walking all these runways and doing things that
wonderful.
I never would have imagined could have happened, but I had to give it over to God. I had to stop hiding in that shame.
That's right.
And I have to take it one day at a time. One day.
Yeah, you know, I just thought of something because I was doing some research just like last week about alcoholism, and I think one of the reasons why people shamed it so much because it wasn't recognized for a while as a disease.
Absolutely.
And so it's kind of like recently, I don't know how recent, not like last year or anything like that, but kind of like recently they kind of recognize it as a disease. And so and I think before that's why people shame, like, you know, because they think you control it.
Right.
They think that you have more control over
you
something like that.
Absolutely. And, you know, that's good that you said that because it's important for people to understand. I went to a total of 3 treatment centers. That's embarrassing. That's not something that I like want to put a star on my refrigerator like, woohoo! You know, but in those spaces, in that space, I saw all of God's children. I mean, we're all broken. We're all struggling, and all of those, you know, those of us suffering with addiction. And it wasn't until I got to the Magdalene House that I actually learned that it was a disease. So the first 2 treatment centers,
They didn't teach you that? It was a disease?
medically detox you and then talk to you about, well, you've got anxiety, so let's give you some medication.
Oh,
But
they were focusing more on your
yes, but
anxiety.
never getting to the bottom of, well, why in the heavens tarnations am I like this?
Yeah.
You know? And once I learned that, I was like, oh, I'm really not the bad person that people say I am. You know, I'm not. And I can, you know, now that I have an understanding, it's like, oh, wow, this is powerful. So that's why I want to share my story. It took me a long time to find out. And I lived it.
Yeah. So God turned your ashes into beauty.
Oh, my heavens. Did he ever?
We're going to take a second.
It's a brand new day. Hey. Take a good day, make it great, okay? 'Cause if you got some lemons, make
Welcome
some
back.
lemonade, yeah.
So Jamie, I did ask you about you almost dying. Can you elaborate on that more?
Yes. So, you know, when you admit that you're an alcoholic, there's different levels. You know, sometimes people can go to a treatment center and they don't have to medically detox. I, unfortunately, was at a level where my little body was so dependent upon it that I had to medically detox. And so I ended up spending 8 days in intensive care.
Oh.
And it was that time, you know, I weighed 97 pounds. I mean, I weigh 130 now, so that gives you a little bit of a, you know, my hair was starting to fall out, the life in me. I was just like a walking skeleton. I felt like I had just lost myself. And it was really painful. It was really hard. And to think I'm a teacher, as a mom of 4, and this is where I am, you know, was painful beyond measure. You know, it really, really was. But that term, you know, pull up your bootstraps, you know, and my dad had said to me, Jamie, come on, you know, you got one more shot at this. And I thought, I do. I do, because the doctor said, for you to drink, you're going to die.
Wow.
So it was, it was really a life or death situation. Okay. So I had to give it all to God, give it to my higher power, and to know that, okay, I will listen. Mm-hmm. I will listen. I will do what you say. And I slowly but surely, I ended up doing inpatient, because after I medically detoxed for the 8 days or whatnot, then I did 2 weeks, of inpatient.
Okay.
And you start to really work on the steps. You start to work on getting to the kind of the bottom of things, of why, you use the alcohol, and some of, just the reason, all of the things that are just like, oh my gosh, that's so me. That makes so much sense. And, and being among those other women who are also alcoholic, we have so much in common. Mm-hmm. So many alcoholics are ADHD or ADD and high anxiety levels, and, just so worried about what people think, and, use it as a medicine. And
what's crazy? Alcohol makes your anxiety worse.
Well, the next day it sure does.
Like they say, if you have anxiety, don't drink alcohol or coffee.
Absolutely. Yeah, and that's what starts that vicious cycle.
And that makes it worse for your recovery.
It is terrible, but it was my norm, so I didn't know any different.
Right.
I didn't know that normal, average people aren't like thinking, okay, oh my God, 1 more hour and then I can have a glass of wine. 1 more hour.
Wow.
That was my norm.
Wow.
I'm like, oh, normal people aren't doing that? Like, oh, or why are you not drinking that whole glass of wine? What's wrong with you? Mm-hmm. It was, and that's embarrassing and sad to say. But I say it because I know I'm not the only one.
Right.
There's so many of us out there. And so to share my story, I'm just humbled, honored, blessed.
What's embarrassing for you could be an eye-opener for somebody else.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, you'd be shocked at the amount of people who will reach out to me on Facebook now and just say, oh my gosh, I never knew, that you were struggling like this. I never knew that this was your pain. This was your story. Okay, I'm struggling as well. When did you know? And that's the first question they always ask, is when did you know? And my response is generally, the fact that you're reaching out to me, the seed has already been planted.
You're admitting something. Yeah.
The seed has already been planted. Yeah. So where do you want to go from here? Because I will hold your hand the whole time over my dead body. Will any of you babies be in a hospital bed alone because you asked for help? Yeah. And, I won't allow it. I won't allow it. So God will use me, and I am humbled beyond measure.
Yes, and you mentioned all the stuff that you're doing now.
Yeah, I'm like, holy cow.
Walking runways, you're modeling.
Work it on it.
So did you start doing all that stuff after, or were you doing that before?
Well, I have always dreamed of modeling. Mm-hmm. Just dreamed of it. And so, 45, hit 45, I'm like, okay, now or never, and I was still drinking at the time. So I wasn't really super marketable, I'll tell you that much. You're too skinny, you're too this, you're too that. Are you sober? Golly. And so, but after I gave it all to God and was just like, I'll start to use my voice. I'll be your beacon. Opportunities that I never would have imagined started opening up to me, and people are like, you're just this ray of sunshine, this bright light, and you on the runways and your story behind it, and I'm like, okay, all right, well, hey.
I feel like that's very inspirational, because some people, when they're in that state of mind, they're like, well, there's nothing I can do. I'm at rock bottom. Can't get up from here. But then it's like you're showing people, well, look at me. There is a light at the end.
There is a light at the end of the tunnel.
And I always say that if you're not buried in the ground, then it's never too late for anything. Never too late.
Never too late. And and that was one of my biggest things, is making my amends to my 4 children. It was really, really big for me. It was really a part of my of me getting better, of me getting well, was
making amends.
It's a must.
Did they have any anger towards you?
Absolutely. And I have 4, and they all deal differently. And so some of them were angry. Some of them would rather just not talk to me. A couple embarrassed. I'm acting like I have 12. There's only 4. But
I know. You're like a couple are embarrassed. A few.
You're like, do you have a whole school bus full? But you know, they
You
all
talking about your students or your children?
right. But they all deal in different ways, and that's why it was so important for me to meet with them, you know, each child one-on-one.
One-on-one, yeah.
And really, you know, and that's the thing is you don't want to just tell them, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Because they're like, Mom, you know, we've heard that before. Because the alcoholic, I mean, famous last words are, I'm fine and I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You know?
So what's
Taking
your relationship
accountability.
like with them now?
Better than I could have ever imagined.
That's wonderful.
Better than I could have ever imagined. God has healed that brokenness. And, you know, to each of them, I said, you know, I never should have put my burden of alcoholism on you. It was never your cross to carry.
That's right.
Never yours. Give it back to me. Give it back to me.
That really
Give me any of the pain. You are allowed to feel however you need to feel, and I will continue to show up, and I'll continue to show up sober. And that's the only way I can show you.
Yeah.
And since then, God has just worked miracles in my life. Sorry, I'm about to cry. I haven't stepped back.
We understand.
Because like a lot of times, especially when you feel like the parent has caused some kind of trauma and like they kind of push it under the rug or just be like,
Absolutely.
No. And so for you to be able to be open and take accountability and just have that conversation with them is really beautiful.
That was when I think I freed them. Because and freed myself as well.
That helped them so much. I'll tell you that right now.
My goodness. And I just forever thankful.
Because one thing you don't want to be is someone who played a part in someone needing to get therapy or any of that.
Absolutely.
So I feel
And
like
then
that
not
really-
taking accountability for it. That's the worst feeling in the world. It really is.
It
And
is.
so I think that's a lesson we can all learn as well, you know?
So what do you have any plans on how you will help people, or is there anything coming up that you're doing in regards to like speaking or anything like that?
Well, you know, it's funny. I am really, really involved in the Magdalene House, and that's the house that literally saved my life. Sponsoring women, and I go to Celebrate Recovery on Monday nights and speaking my testimony, and people are reaching out to me. Jaime, will you tell your story? Will you, you know, and like, and sometimes I'll be like at the grocery store or something, and I'll be like, God, just speak to me. If I need to run this little tiny mouth of mine, speak through me. And, you know, sometimes, like the other day, I got to speaking to this gentleman, and I don't even know how I got to telling him that I was an alcoholic. But he just said to me, you are an absolute gift. We are struggling with this with my daughter, and I don't know what to do.
Oh, wow. Look at God.
I know.
Yes.
And
so many people are lost. They don't
he
know.
said,
And that's part of the problem. They don't know what to do.
They don't know what to do. And she's so selfish, and she won't stop drinking the vodka. And I just said, sweet dad, right now she can't.
Yeah.
Okay? So if you can take that and just see the inner child in her. See that.
Do you feel it is important to keep the selfish word out? Sorry to interrupt you, but I kind of want to...
You know, and that's why when I term it, I will say it's a selfish disease, but I'm not a selfish person.
Okay, yeah, you did.
I would give the shirt off my dang back for you, but I couldn't stop drinking the wine, and so the disease is selfish, you know, in that aspect, because you do things when you're drinking that you wouldn't normally do.
Correct.
Yeah.
You know, and
That's true.
you're
'Cause
into
not in
your
a sober mind.
You're not.
And that's why it's like, and then you get you get sober, you feel embarrassed.
Oh,
my
right.
God.
You feel
And
like,
you even don't
I
even
did
remember.
that?
Oh
sometimes.
my heavens!
And that-
Yeah.
But you know what? That takes me back to when people say, when someone's drunk, they tell the truth.
Yeah, I've heard that a
That's
lot.
like true.
Is that true?
I do.
To a certain extent.
To a certain extent.
I
But,
feel like
you
anytime I was
know.
drunk, I lied all the time.
You'll fabricate things. Like, this story just sounds better if you make it
I mean, you
better.
tell the
Yeah.
truth, but you probably
You
add on to
you
it.
add on some details, and before you knew it, you were in Hollywood walking runways. And no, I don't think I actually did that, or whatnot. You know. But yeah. I think
So, how long have you been sober?
I have been sober for 6 months. I've been trying this battle for a while, and I've been kind of up and down. And unfortunately, until I got to the Magdalene House and actually learned about it, I kept relapsing, and I kept thinking, golly, what is wrong with you? And that's when I just got to like, you've lost everything.
Wow.
Your kids don't want to talk to you half the time. You know, you don't have any worth. And I truly felt like that. But God whispered, but you do.
Yeah.
See, I really want to get with you on that. I want to talk to you later.
Okay,
because,
sure.
I feel the issue when it comes to addiction, there is a root problem. And when we
Absolutely.
medicate and do certain things, that's touching the surface
It
or
is.
your symptoms. But can we get to the root of the
Can we
problem
get
so
to
we
it?
can
Right.
fix the issue and we
Absolutely.
can help other people fix
Yes.
this issue?
Amen. Yes. Like,
Right?
let's stop putting a Band-Aid when we
And
need to
I-
get in on the stitches, you
And
know?
that's the whole
Right.
medical system period. I'm so tired of
Absolutely.
it.
Oh,
And
I
see
agree.
it every day. And I'll look at people and I know you're sick. I can look into your eyes and I see you're sick. I can
Oh,
see
the
what's wrong with you.
pain. I know.
And you're here getting medicated, but you're not here getting treatment. You're not treated, you're not getting
Amen,
anything.
sister.
And it makes me sick, honestly.
amen,
like sometimes
sister.
like I get emotional about it and it just makes me like really want to help people. So
Yes.
I'm like, that's why I'm so excited. And I just felt, I don't know, when I seen your picture and I was going through everything, and I'm just like, something about her. And then in our message I said, this is going to be a really good interview. I said, I think that I'm going to work with this lady or something. I'm like, there's something about her is just screaming everything that I need to know or
Wow.
something. I don't know.
Yes.
I don't know, but and then meeting you, I was like, okay, maybe this is it because you have such a good attitude. You're such a beautiful
Hey,
person
God,
inside and out. I know.
Love
That's-
it. Love her energy.
He's amazing. Oh, every bit of the glory goes to God. I'm
Yeah, and I don't think
humbled.
people won't talk about it either. Your energy that can help people as well. Like
Definitely.
seriously, like you bring a certain energy here, and us being interviewers. Like for me, I'm a big energy person, so when that bounces off and I can feel your energy,
Yeah.
it makes me. It's easier for me to interview you. You know what I mean? So it's easy
You feel
for us to have a
comfortable,
conversation.
talking
Yeah.
with you.
And I'm like, I already had
I
99,000
love
questions.
y'all.
Now I got 99,000 more.
Can we have a little more time?
I know. We'll be back for part 3. I'll say 2.
Can we go like have a slumber party over there?
Have an overnight, overnight episode. Like, oh yeah, we still here.
Where's the popcorn? Oh heavens!
But yeah, it's definitely a blessing having you here, though.
Oh,
It is.
thank
That
y'all
story,
so
and I feel
much.
like you need to take this and do as much as you can with it.
Oh.
Seriously, because you can help a lot of people.
Oh.
I know people who need help, and
Yeah.
you know sometimes it's hard. And some people like, what do you do? Or do you feel like is there something that you can do for those who you know need help, but they won't get help?
The thing about it, honestly, and I've been able to help more people than I could have ever imagined, is an alcoholic or an addict helping another one. So somebody like me. So for somebody who has never struggled with the disease, for you to come up to me and say, okay, you can go over here and you'll be better in about 2 weeks if you'll just
Yeah.
go.
And they're like,
you
They
know,
haven't
understand.
experienced this, so
they
they don't
haven't
understand.
experienced it. They haven't felt it. And so the alcoholic's going to be like, you have no idea what my pain is. And then you put that wall up and what do? You drink more, So it's just that, looking in their eyes, and you said you see the pain because they're sick.
Yeah.
They are sick, bless their hearts, and you see the pain. And to just kind of look in their eyes and be like, you know what, baby, you have worth.
Yeah.
And let me be an example, a living example, that there is help. And, that's a statistic that I was shocked at, that less than 10% will get help because
Wow.
of the shame of it,
Yeah.
because of the embarrassment, and because it's so difficult to overcome. It's a battle.
It is, yeah.
It is a stinker,
So, did you ever get to the root of what was causing you to continue to relapse and drink wine?
Through my therapy, I have always, my entire life, worried about what people thought of me. That was my biggest,
Okay.
biggest thing was I would be loved if I was perfect and did things perfect. But what do they think? What do I think? Am I good enough? Am I good enough? Am I good enough? And never truly even finding myself, and that whole quote, it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks of you. It's between you and God. What are you doing?
Right,
and
right.
every night when you go to bed, can you be like, you know what, God, I really did. I really tried my best today. I could work on this and that, but I did try, you know, and just realizing that, no, you know, I'm not perfect. I'm
That's right.
human, like the rest of us. I mean, human, like, wow.
So you don't have to be perfect.
So I don't have to be. And God loves me just where I am.
Yeah.
And imagine you were there at that moment, putting on this face as you were perfect, and you're struggling on the inside.
Oh, struggling
Oh, my
like
God.
no other. Struggling like no other. And like,
And that tells you there's no
my
perfection.
therapy would be helping others. Just help. When I couldn't help myself, I was drowning.
Yeah.
Drowning. And
That's
I
what
think
a lot of people do. They
a
help
lot of
others, and
people
it kinda-
do that.
You kind of avoid yourself.
You're just avoiding fixing you. And I was really stuck in that. And that was something I had to work on as well, because, you know, my kids would be like, but you're going to help somebody else, Mom? You
Right,
know?
yeah.
Yeah.
And so it was really
They was feeling neglected.
Like, well, you can go help but this family doesn't have food. We have food, you know, and you just, you know, go in that vicious cycle. So,
And what you said earlier, priorities is important.
Oh.
And so your children should have been the priority.
100%, you know, like my favorite quote is Mother Teresa when she said, how can we change the world? Go home and love your family.
Yes.
Go home and love
Start
your
there.
family.
Start
Start
yourself.
there.
Because
And
who are you
yourself.
without not loving yourself? You know?
Exactly.
You have to take care of you
You
first.
have to. You have to. It's crucial.
Yeah.
So I had to learn the hard way, but it's never too late. Never, ever,
As long
ever
as-
too late.
Like Shamila said, as long as we're still on this side, it's never too late.
I got work to do, girls.
Yeah, you do. Yes, and you started. You're doing it.
Uh-huh.
I mean, you're.
And it's
you're
such
gonna
a
touch lot of
blessing that
people.
in such a short time that you're able to help so many people.
Oh my
already.
gosh. I am just like, who now, God? Who now?
Oh,
You
girl, we
know?
gotta get you out there. Get you in front of
Get me
people.
out there.
I'm like, seriously.
Get me out
mhm.
there.
There's a lot of people. After COVID, like, it's so much has happened.
Oh,
So,
you're absolutely
you know,
right.
it's like we need it bad.
No,
We
absolutely.
need it really bad. And there's not enough people that's getting into this and helping people and
Right.
stuff like that. So we really need to.
Probably was a lot of
Especially with
alcoholics
natural-
that came about during COVID.
Oh, it's
Honey,
absolutely.
I almost turned into one.
I know.
Like, no, really, because you don't like,
No.
oh my God. I
Yeah.
said, and that's when I turned complete, because I'm like, I'm drinking a bottle or two every day. I said, hold on. I looked at by my garbage can, and I seen about 10 bottles of wine sitting over there, and I said, what am I doing? Because I'm at home, right?
Exactly.
You're
Like,
right.
my department was closed, and I'm getting this extra money, and I'm like, oh, hey, the store's down the street. And I said, I have to stop. So I went completely clean, started eating raw. I was jogging every day. I was juicing. And then all of a sudden, it was just like, I don't want any of it. I'll go to the store, and I'm like, I don't even want to look at it.
Oh, that's amazing.
So
So,
it's like-
you're not alcoholic. That's awesome.
Girl. That was scary, though.
It is.
It was
is.
really scary.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It
And it started
definitely
messing
is.
with my vision and everything.
Wow.
Yeah. That alcohol
Yeah, I
is
was
something
kind of
else.
drinking more during COVID too, but
Yeah.
I just
Well, I want to
at a
clear
point I
something up.
backed
It
off.
wasn't 10.
Yes.
It wasn't 10 in one day. It was like accumulating.
So I was like, dang, 2 bottles
drinking
more, but
I want to clear
Like
that
my
up.
bus full of kids.
Like, I had a party now. Well, it was so amazing having you.
y'all.
I really wish that we
Thank
could
you.
continue over 10 more episodes. But, you know, we will
we
definitely
can
have you
always
back.
invite you back.
We'll
Yes,
definitely have you
please.
back,
Let's,
'cause I wanna
let's
update.
color coordinate our outfits and everything.
Oh, wow.
Next time, because I'm all go. You guys have colors on. I'm always setting myself aside.
You
But,
are darling.
But thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much
absolutely.
for dropping all these gems. You definitely
Yes,
help a lot of people.
definitely.
Good.
Thank
Thank you. Thank y'all so much for having me.
You're welcome.
And thank you guys for tuning in once again. And if you're new, thank you as well. To Women of Abundant Wealth, and we will see y'all later.
Was that good?
Great, okay.
That was